Hey gamers, roguelites have been the genre I've played the most over the past few years, and through that I've found some of my all-time favorite games. And today I want to share with you my top 25 roguelike games of all time that I think you absolutely need to play. Since this is an action game channel, every game on this list is an action roguelike, even if I don't explicitly say it in the title. And yeah, some of you maybe disagree with the rankings, and that's okay. All I know, this game is a good game. Starting to the list, we've got Spiritfall. It's a roguelite that brings a really unique mix of platform fighter style combat with a roguelike system that keeps every run feeling fresh. In Spiritfall, you play as the Omen Forged on a mission to cleanse the world from a corruption known as the Brink, but honestly, what makes this game addictive isn't the story, it's the combat. Yup, you'll be jumping, dashing, and comboing enemies non-stop, and you can cancel almost any attack at any time, so you never feel stuck in animations. Each run is pretty quick too, around 30 minutes. During your run, you'll get blessings from different spirits, each with their own playstyle. You can build however you want, but the real key is synergy. Combine the right spirits, and your build can get absolutely broken. But yeah, since this is a roguelike, you already know how it goes. If we're talking about roguelikes leveling up after the era of Hades, Shape of Dreams is one of those games that actually dares to stand out, not just following trends, but bringing some seriously crazy depth. This game features 8 total characters, each with unique skill trees, builds, and systems that are thrown at you right from the start. And the combat isn't just about spamming attacks. The core lies in the memory system, basically active skills that you can mix and match however you want. And since this is a roguelike, you really have to think about what kind of build you want to create to wipe enemies quickly and efficiently. The fun part is when you play co-op, you can cover each other's weaknesses and create even crazier combos. Of course, it's way more fun playing co-op than grinding solo in your room all day. Before we go into the list, I want to tell you about my favorite place to buy games, and that's Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an awesome site for grabbing games at great prices. Not only they always have fantastic discounts, but also they running giveaways you won't want to miss. Seriously, these deals are hard to beat. Where else are you going to find prices this good? Why pay full price when you can grab the same game for way less, right? Yeah, you can shop for games on all kinds of platforms, like PC, PS5, Xbox, and a Nintendo Switch. There are also numerous convenient products to enhance your gaming experience, such as subscriptions, gift cards, and many more. No worries, it's 100% legit, fast, and super easy to use, and their support team is available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Go check out your favorite games by using the link in the description below and start saving your cash with Instant Gaming. And by using my link, you're not just getting awesome deals, but also supporting this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. If you're into roguelike FPS games, Deadzone Rogue is 100% worth your time. It's set in space. You wake up with no memory and get thrown straight into a mysterious ship filled with both mechanical and biological enemies. What really makes Deadzone Rogue addictive is the gameplay. Movement is smooth and fast. Dash feels weird at first but becomes clutch for dodging. Gunplay is super satisfying. Hipfire or ADS. And melee is fun even if it could use more variety. You've got augments that can completely change your playstyle, along with primary and secondary perks, plus trinkets. Even with some RNG involved, most builds can still work if you know what you're doing, so it never feels unfair. Overall, it's just a really fun game, especially since you can play co-op too. Honestly, you won't regret it if you and your friends give this one a try. TMNT Splintered Fate. It's basically Hades' game, but the key difference is that you're playing as the turtles themselves, and each run is layered with story progression and character interactions that gradually unfold the more you play, and yes, dying is part of that progression. Where it really separates itself, though, is in its focus on co-op. The game fully supports both local and online multiplayer, which makes a huge difference. Even if you don't have friends around physically, you can easily hop online and find people to play with, keeping the experience fun fun, and engaging. So if you haven't tried a TMNT game in the roguelike genre yet, this is definitely one worth checking out, especially if you've got friends to jump in with, assuming you have any. Ember Knights is one of my favorite roguelikes, especially when I'm playing co-op with my younger sibling. It's the kind of game you can chill with together, but it's still just as fun when you play solo. In Ember Knights, you play as the last knight standing, the final hope to defeat an evil sorcerer named Praxis. The game basically feels like a mix between Castle Crashers and Gauntlet, but with roguelite elements that make every run feel fresh. Yeah, I know, it's a roguelike. I don't really need to explain that part to you guys. Each run takes you through 5 worlds with semi-random maps, so it never gets boring. The combat is fast, responsive, and super satisfying. Perfect for spamming skills and dashing around like a maniac. There are 6 different weapons in total, and each one has its own unique play style. And yeah, Ember Knights supports up to 4-player co-op, which makes it perfect for playing with family. Because let's be real, not everyone has friends. Curse of the Dead Gods is often compared to Hades, but what really sets it apart is its darker, more frustrating atmosphere that can easily get under your skin. The combat feels methodical yet fast-paced. Unlike Hades' chaotic flow, here you need to stay patient, read enemy movements, and keep your ego in check. Stamina management is crucial since dodging and heavy attacks all consume it, and once you panic, everything falls apart and usually ends in a messy death. But the moment you start mastering parries and perfect dodges, the game shifts from punishing to incredibly addictive. One of its most unique features is the darkness mechanic, which isn't just visual, it directly affects gameplay. In the dark, enemies hit harder and traps become nearly invisible, so you'll need to carry a torch to light your surroundings, or even set enemies on fire to turn them into moving light sources. Astral Ascent is one of my favorite roguelike platformers, especially since you can play it in 2-player co-op. You play as a prisoner in a kind of celestial prison, guarded by 12 zodiac gods. The more you play, the more memory fragments you'll find in each run, slowly uncovering why you're trapped and what your connection is to these gods. So even though you die over and over, it still feels like you're making progress in the story. Each run is made up of several short stages, some focused on exploration while others lock you in an arena until you defeat all enemies. But what really makes the game addictive is its build system. There's something called gambits, which act like modifiers for your skills. The variety is insane, from simple damage boosts to elemental effects like poison or burn. The combinations can get pretty wild, especially when you stack them with auras that give even more bonuses. Because of this, every run feels different and you're free to experiment with builds however you like. One of the all-time roguelikes that I think you have to play is Children of Morta. Yeah, it's not just about surviving or becoming overpowered, but about something the genre rarely takes seriously: family. Here, you don't play as a single hero, you play as an entire family, the Bergsons. Their mission is to protect a sacred mountain from a dark force known as the Corruption. Gameplay is still a classic roguelite, but after every run, you return home and see interactions between family members, small story moments, and character development. So progression isn't just about increasing stats, it's also about watching relationships grow deeper. Every family member is playable, and each one has a distinct combat style. What's really interesting is the fatigue system. If you use one character too often, they become weaker. It might feel annoying at first, but over time you realize the game is pushing you to explore different play styles instead of sticking to just one comfort build. Moonlighter is basically a hybrid game between an RPG dungeon crawler and a shopkeeping simulator. In the game, you play as Will, the owner of a small shop in the village of Renoka, and here's the thing, all the items you sell aren't bought. They're loot you personally collected from dungeons. The gameplay loop is super addictive. Enter a dungeon, fight monsters, grab loot, go home, manage your shop, set prices, and sell to customers. From just that, you can already tell this isn't your typical roguelike or RPG. Yup, you also have to figure out the ideal price. Too low and you lose money, too high and nothing sells. You can also read your customers' reactions, and sometimes, if they get annoyed, they might even steal your stuff. At first, you'll be guessing prices like a newbie entrepreneur, but over time, you start to understand the market. There's a really satisfying feeling when you finally hit the sweet spot with your pricing. Ravenswatch is an isometric multiplayer roguelike. Basically, you view it from above, and the gameplay focuses on dungeon crawling loot and addictive replayability. Multiplayer is super fun because you can play with 2 to 4 people. The action is hectic but still smooth. You can play solo, but obviously it's way more fun with friends. The gameplay is fast and varied. Each character has unique skills with cooldowns, plus there's a Raven Feather system that works like extra lives. You can mix and match heroes to create different strategies for each run. This game is made by Tech Games, the same studio that made Curse of the Dead Gods, so it makes sense that it has a similar dark vibe, but the fun factor here is different. You can unlock additional characters as you progress, which gives you even more hero combinations and playstyles to experiment with. Honestly, I think this is a roguelike you have to play, especially if you're into co-op. The Rogue Prince of Persia is 2D action roguelike that combine platformer and parkour mechanics. You'll play as the new prince, whose movements are absolutely stunning. Jumping from balcony to balcony, wall hopping, wall running, all the acrobatic moves from the Sands of Time are there. The combat isn't quite as impressive as the movement. You have a main weapon and a secondary weapon, and the energy for the secondary weapon recharges when you keep using the main one. You can upgrade, get random loot, standard roguelike stuff. There's a slight input delay, but it's not too bothersome. Boss fights? Still fun. You'll be parkouring while attacking. A solid mix of timing, skill, and environment. Each run also unlocks new levels, keeping every playthrough fresh. You can choose where to start and even unlock new objectives that open paths to other levels. Replayability? Yeah, it's super fun, especially if you like Dead Cells. Wizard of Legend is a super fun roguelike dungeon crawler, in my opinion, with fast-paced action where you control specific elements. And the sound effects are incredibly satisfying. But here's a fun fact. This game was developed by just 2 people. And the result? It's absolutely fantastic. What makes it even more exciting? Over 100 spells and relics. You can create your own playstyle, whether it's dealing massive damage, summoning minions, or any of the countless other combinations. You can also play local co-op, so teaming up with friends makes it even more fun. This game is definitely worth a try if you love challenges and fast-paced strategy, especially if you're a fan of the roguelikes. Next up, Roboquest is a stylish FPS packed with crazy weapons and fast-paced gameplay that keeps you on the move, blowing up evil robots. What makes Roboquest special is its incredibly satisfying combat loop. There are absurd weapons like Ratchet and Clank, plus little comic-style effects every time you fire your dual Uzis, making each shot even more satisfying. Basically, every run is fun, especially when you stumble upon your favorite weapon. Even though it's a roguelite, this game isn't too punishing. There are several difficulty levels, you can play co-op with friends, and there are permanent upgrades for your character class and base camp, so each run feels like real progress. The class and build system lets you experiment until you find the playstyle that suits you best. Whether you're playing solo or in co-op with friends, this game is still addictive. The bosses and robots might be a bit generic at times, but the weapons, upgrades, and gameplay are enough to make up for it. If you like Vampire Survivors, you'll definitely love Soulstone Survivors too. It's a roguelite auto shooter from Brighton-based studio Gamesmithing. Here you play as a void hunter who enters a portal to hunt the Void King, but suddenly everything goes haywire and you have to survive in an arena full of enemies. If you think this is just a 3D version of Vampire Survivors, well, there's some truth to that. But Soulstone Survivors has a depth that sets it apart. Besides combat, you'll find plenty of permanent upgrades using gems, shared, and character-specific skill trees and runes that grant buffs, debuffs, or unlock unique spells. There are plenty of characters, over 20, but the longer you play, the more they all start to feel the same because you'll end up focusing on your favorite spells. Gunfire Reborn is a simple addictive roguelite FPS. You'll get responsive gunplay, a variety of unique characters, a wide array of different weapons, plus skills and scrolls that make every run feel completely different. The graphics aren't anything to write home about, and the story is minimalist, but that doesn't bother me because the game's main focus is clear: fun, varied builds, and high replayability. What makes this game stand out is the variety of runs. You don't just choose weapons, but also characters with unique play styles. Each weapon feels distinct, and DLCs keep adding new weapons to the collection, so you can experiment with builds however you like: long range, close range, or a mix of both. The options are endless. I don't remember how many years it's been since this game was released, so the content is massive and well polished. Skul the Hero Slayer is a roguelike game similar to Dead Cells, but here you play as a skeleton, and what makes it unique is that this skeleton can switch its skills to different heads, and each head has different skills and playstyles. There's a massive variety of skulls, over 30 types, each with its own speed, range, and unique skills. The best part is, you can upgrade regular skulls to keep them overpowered in the endgame, so you're not just relying on random loot drops. The gameplay is also fast, smooth, and responsive. You can really feel the leaps, dashes, and slashes in your hands. The platforming is easy, but the combination of enemies and your skills keeps every run on the edge of your seat. Although the bosses are a bit repetitive, they still serve as decent checkpoints before you move on to the next area. Yup, the game is a fun, challenging roguelite with high replayability. You'll keep coming back because you'll never get bored even after dying dozens of times. BlazBlue Entropy Effect actually ventures into the roguelike action platformer genre, which has absolutely none of the traditional fighting game vibe. But I think this game will get you hooked. You play as a robot in a post-apocalyptic simulation run by some mysterious AI. BlazBlue characters are here, but don't come for the lore. Although the controls are simple, the combat is fast, fluid, and intuitive. You can air juggle enemies, fire special attacks that can pull them in, dash, ground pound, and pull off insane combos. And each run, you can unlock new skills or upgrade existing ones. You won't play this for the BlazBlue story, but for the roguelike gameplay. It's absolutely awesome. Returnal is one of my favorite roguelike FPS games, and in it you play as Celine, a badass astronaut who crashes on a mysterious planet and encounters vicious alien creatures. And if you die here, you'll just respawn at the crash site like nothing happened. Though the story is pretty standard, but the main issue lies in the gameplay. This game is heavily geared toward resilient players who don't care about comfort while playing. If you're not that type of player, you'll likely give up before the credits roll. There aren't too many weapons, about 10 main types. But each weapon can have unique traits, homing shots, or alternate fire modes that make every run different. And since its PS5 release, Returnal has received plenty of quality of life updates, daily challenges, and even a co-op mode. I haven't tried co-op yet, but both the PS5 and PC versions run smoothly. If you're the type of gamer who can handle a crazy difficulty curve, this game is a must-try. If you like Vampire Survivors, but I'm not into that game, I actually prefer Brotato. What I like about this game is total freedom to build your character. Everything is customizable in a quick 25 to 30 minute run. In every battle, you have to keep moving while staying alert to enemies coming in waves. There are over 20 Brotatos to unlock, each with different stats. And in the game, you can enable auto shoot if you want to focus on dodging enemies, but what really hooks me is the downtime between waves, the time to collect items, upgrade, and plan your next build. Brotato stats aren't just filler. Health is important, but focusing too much on it can make your damage weak. There are stats like melee, ranged, elemental, armor, dodge, speed, and even harvesting and engineering to help you collect cash. Every time you level up, unlock a perk, or buy an item/weapon, all your stats can change, making every run unique and forcing you to think strategically. If you love a challenge and aren't afraid of frustrating RNG, Enter the Gungeon will instantly make it onto your list of favorite games. Enter the Gungeon is one of the best looking 2D games out there, in my opinion. The character animations are cute and fluid, the gunfire effects are amazing, and the music and gunfire sounds keep your adrenaline pumping. You'll experience brutal RNG here. Keys to open chests are rare, ammo might run out, and sometimes you'll have to rely solely on your starter gun to take on super brutal enemies. But that's exactly what makes this game so fun. Every run is different, every decision is crucial, and every stroke of luck can make you jump for joy. When I first played Cult of the Lamb, I never expected to be so busy sweeping up sheep droppings. Yup, this game is an action roguelite, but its real strength lies in its base management. So you're not just busy fighting mystical creatures, but also managing your own flock. And trust me, this absurd combination actually works really well. You'll play as a sheep brought back to life by the imprisoned god, the one who waits. Your mission is to free him, recruit new followers, build a camp, and wage a bloody crusade against supernatural creatures. It might sound weird, but the loop is incredibly satisfying. Gather resources, manage your flock, upgrade your camp and yourself, then head out to fight again. Plus, the mix of funny and brutal animations makes it feel hilarious. And base management is where it really shines. After defeating a major enemy, you can recruit some followers to your camp. They'll gather resources, worship you to generate devotion, and even clean up the mess. You can unlock tech trees for the camp and followers, ranging from simple things to complex ones like turning followers into demon fighters. And overall, managing them makes the camp feel alive. Yeah, maybe some people don't like this game, but whatever. Risk of Rain 2 is the complete package for anyone who loves roguelite action. The game supports 1 to 4 players. Seriously, it's impossible to skip Risk of Rain 2 if you love roguelites. All you need to know: permadeath, real-time combat, random loot, and random maps. Multiplayer, it's absolutely awesome. The characters are easy to learn but hard to master, except for the Commando, who's a safe bet for newbies. And because multiplayer makes the game even more intense, enemies scale based on the number of players, you can play casually or go all out, but every run is always exciting and full of strategy. Yep, if you love action roguelikes with friends, this is definitely a game you should have played a long time ago. Number 3 on my list is Dead Cells. Who doesn't know this roguelike? This is a true roguelite in the analog world. You start in the prison with a default body and pick your starting weapon: sword, bow, or shield. At first, your options are limited, but the more you die or complete runs, the more content unlocks. Combat is simple, like roll, jump, ground pound, and use a few extra skills. Enemies are easy to kill if you know their patterns, but bosses and elite enemies will make you actually think about strategy, and the weapons are varied here. Fast swords, axes that blow up the ground, long-range bows, and each has pros and cons. Extra skills are random each run, but always useful. Gear upgrades, item purchases, bonus rerolls, and passive ability choices. All of this makes every run feel unique. And the DLC, it integrates directly into the main game. Not just new modes, but new levels, paths, weapons, even a cute little pet. The Binding of Isaac is basically a living legend. It started out as a Flash game in 2011, then got rebuilt into Rebirth in 2014, and it hasn't stopped evolving since. Every update and expansion feels like a shot of vitamins for both hardcore and casual players. Even though the story is basically about a kid running away from his overly religious mom, the game is actually full of layers of symbolism, guilt, and trauma. It's like diving into the mind of a child trapped between faith, guilt, and dark imagination. You'll often find yourself thinking, WTF, is this psychological horror or a roguelike? Gameplay is basically chaos plus strategy. You start each run with a character, but from there, Isaac's world opens up with hundreds of items. Over 700, bro. Everything can create insane synergies. Even the way the characters play tells a story. You're not just fighting enemies, you're acting out twisted moral lessons. And even with its simple visuals, playing this with your friends is ridiculously addictive. If you haven't tried this game yet, don't even call yourself a roguelike fan. If you've played the first Hades, you know the vibe. Fast, brutal, and addictive. You keep coming back run after run without getting bored. Hades 2 keeps that formula going. You're still doing 30-minute runs, tinkering with weapons, combos, and upgrades. But now you play as Melinoa, a new chthonic goddess on a mission to take down the Titan Kronos. Some of the new weapons are a ton of fun, but others fall flat. The axe and dual wands demand precise positioning and multitasking. Strategic, but not as thrilling as Zagreus. The game is super reactive though. Nemesis might steal your items, and gods give boons that complement what you've already picked up. Every run genuinely feels different. Story and characters? Honestly, kind of bland. Flirty Olympians and faux romance are awkward. If you want serious mythology, this isn't it. But if you're the type who loves fast arcade action plus unique mechanics plus quirky mythological storylines, Hades 2 is still worth it. If you're impatient with fussy farming and pseudo-sim mechanics, be ready to roll your eyes mid-run thinking, ugh, this is annoying. Still, totally worth it. And that's it for today. Those were lists the top 25 my favorite action roguelike games of all time. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. Once again, if you want to buy games with cheap price, the link in the description okay. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.